So, just before I start, I guess it's important to say what a tool library is. A tool library is exactly like a regular library, but we have tools instead of books. So, presumably everybody knows how a regular library works. It gives people access, so there's no need for excess. We believe in sharing instead of ownership. It saves people money and reduces their environmental impact, their carbon footprint. We have, I would say, a 50-50 balance in terms of motivations for joining the tool library. Some people could afford to go and buy their own tools but decide against it for environmental reasons. 50% of the people that join cannot afford to buy their own tools, can't afford to pay somebody to do that job. And so we're the sort of solution. There's now 8 tool libraries across Scotland, and there's more coming all the time. We're constantly being contacted by people all across the world. We are the first in the UK, but we are not alone. There are 250 across the world. England is gradually coming along with us, but you'll get there eventually. As well as the tool catalogue, we have a lot more to it. So the actual tool library side of things is a model volunteer-led, sustainable and financially sustainable. We also have 2 workshops. We run educational outreach programs, we teach classes, we have an employability project, and we run a program of volunteer events to build things for other charities and members of the community. So in the guerrilla ground, someone was talking earlier, I was very interested in that kind of thing. We do it less guerrilla, but similar kind of deal. But the main problem, the main point to make, is that tool libraries are not really just about tools. We've got thousands of tools which we obviously have to maintain, and a lot of those tools themselves are used in the maintenance of other things. But the most important tool that we maintain is ourselves. So my talk's all about exploring how fixing of things can maintain our souls. And that's not really in a religious sense, that's I guess more in a sort of positive mental health kind of way. The first step to soul maintenance is creating the right environment. It has to be positive, inclusive and welcoming. Workshops in their very nature can be quite intimidating places, particularly when we're working with people who often it's their first experience or maybe their first step towards becoming a maker or a fixer or a maintainer. But the advantage of that kind of space is that it's completely universal. There is no nation on planet Earth, there is no culture that doesn't understand the merits of tools and how they make jobs more easy. Essentially everybody speaks tool. In a workshop, interactions happen that don't happen elsewhere. It's a bit of sort of social engineering. I was just talking to someone earlier today about the importance of, if you open a tool library, of having limited opening hours, because you sort of force people to use them in a concentrated time, so whether they like it or not, they're going to bump into other members. There was something to sort of sum that up perfectly. We have a group, the Council Refugee and Migrant Programme in Edinburgh approached us about doing some workshops with the community of Syrian refugees that we have in Edinburgh, and they wanted to hire the workshop space so that they had somewhere to come on a sort of Wednesday afternoon or whatever. But when we spoke to them, they said the things that they want are integration and to practice their English, which would not happen if you have your own session where you're speaking Arabic amongst people you already know. So we arranged for inductions so that they understand the rules of the workshop. We had a translator come in, work with them, and now they are regular members and come in and work alongside everybody else. We had one night where we had 2 Syrian refugees, an Italian, Spaniards, 2 folks from Leith, and just ridiculous. It's actually more exotic than anywhere else. And it was just this kind of little thing that if I could have distilled it and bottled it, that's what it's all about. So I think it's really, as I say, I think it's really important to create this environment that can flourish in. But what is the process of soul maintenance? Okay, it's a bit of a weird slide. Has anyone ever had a pet that's died?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, okay. I was going to say there's a lot of very good pet owners at that. And sometimes we bury them in a garden. Now why might we do that? Okay, it isn't to feed your plants, I hope. It's probably not because of what other people think, that they see your little tribute to Bobby the Wonder Monkey and think you're a great person. And it's probably not to say paying vet. The reason you do it is because there's some sort of relationship there that makes you smile. It's like the sort of touchstone, not in a literal sense in this case. Perhaps initially we feel sad, but in time it makes us smile when we remember those happy little walks along the beach hand in hand with Hammy the hamster and all the good times that you had. And I kind of like to think of it, because I'm trying to bring in the maintenance and tools and DIY angle all the way through this, I like to think of it as a net positive trickle on your sort of soul, or your positive energy. So what do I mean by that? So, and this is where everybody gets up to go to the toilet. I'd like you to imagine that everybody's got two taps. So one feeds into us and one feeds out of us. And our aim is to be full. Now, at various times, these two taps are turned off or on to a greater or lesser extent. We might get married. What a joyful experience. What a happy day. We're filling up with good vibes. But then when that marriage breaks up, we meet the negativity all over the floor. Workshops and repair and maintenance of things might not be able to save your marriage, but they can go from being a net leak to slowly topping you up. So, I have an example. I'm going to change this slide to the screen. It's a slide I realised last night. This slide was sort of look over my shoulder for quite a while. Okay, so here's two happy people. So, for example, you've got a kitchen door. This is something that people come to us all the time, is a kitchen door that sticks. They're coming in, how do I solve this problem? So, kitchen door, it scrapes on the floor because the house has shifted ever so slightly over the years, and the frame's got slightly warped. And the problem goes from initially scraping on the floor slightly, starts to restrict how much the door opens. It makes an incredibly annoying noise when you need it open, and you then start to have to drop everything and get both hands to slide it open. You've got to put your shopping down, and it becomes a real annoyance. It's not devastating, but it's a net drain on your positive juju. So what you could do, you could call a joiner or a handy person to come along and sort it out. If you could get them to do a job that small, which you won't, you'd be a few quid out of pocket and your problem would be solved. So if we ignore the fact that a lot of people can't afford those few quid in the first place, let's look at where it leads you. It would cease to be a net drain on your soul. But what if you became a member of a tool library? You could be shown how to use a hand plane. You could then borrow the hand plane from the tool library to take it home. Now, a door is a very heavy thing to lift off yourself, so maybe you'd have to this is why I've got this picture, that's what I'm saying. You might have to get your friendly neighbour to come along and give you a wee hand. You'd faff about trying to remember how the tool library showed you how to set it up properly. So you'd maybe have a look on YouTube, you'd eventually work it out, so you'd get your pal to hold the door while you planed it. You'd be a bit knackered, so you'd have a cup of tea and you'd have a chat. And then before you're tackling it, you're having a great time, and because you're really awesome and it's only a 15-minute talk, you get it right straight away. You saved a few quid from paying somebody to come in, fantastic. And you've eradicated this problem, but you've eradicated the drain on your soul as well. But you've added something else. Now that every time you go out that door and it doesn't stick, and it just opens nice and smoothly, then you get that little tiny spark, and whether it's subconscious or whether it's conscious, it feels good, and it slowly fills you up. I've got 5 minutes gone now. It only took 10 minutes on practice last week. So that's what I mean by sort of the positive and negative drips. This is a chap called Danny, who's one of our trainees at ETL. He basically works with a mentor, which is Charlie, the chap there. Danny, as part of our Tools for Life programme, he's had some very difficult times in his life. Came to us as quite unsure of himself, but as part of the Tools for Life programme, they work together building things for charities, for the community groups. They've even done commissioned work, which is us an income. He's learned many skills from Charlie, but the best thing he's learned is to believe in himself, that he can achieve things that he didn't think possible. Much of this has come from having a positive male role model for the first time in his life. But a lot of it's come from himself and the affirmation and the empowerment he gets from seeing things that he's made, fixed and maintained. I was interested, David was talking about short class of soulcraft as well. There's a bit in that that's around, you could teach someone to see themselves in a better light, or you could teach them a skill, which when they see the results of those skills manifested in an object or something working, and then they will naturally see themselves in a better light, and that's what we do with folks like Danny. Another way to maintain your soul is by building your tribe around you. They're your toolbox. You have different tools for different maintenance jobs. Some are rags to soak up the tears. Some are trolleys to help you move house. Others are bottle openers when you need to let your hair down a bit. Our tribe of volunteers we call Tooligans. They have regular massive meetups for sort of pizza and social events, but they also discuss how they make their community better. This is what I was referring to earlier. They've built community gardens, outdoor classrooms for primary school, bike workshops, and even giant musical instruments for playgroups. There's about 17 or 18 projects now. All the while they give of themselves, they top up with the good vibes, they get that's what they get back from doing those great things and maintaining their communities. And they broaden their range of tools for when they have a leak. This is Helen. So Helen's my I'm not supposed to have favourites, but Helen's my favourite tool I remember. So Helen's actually 17. She's a leap year baby, and so she's very proud to be I think 8 years younger than her grandson, which is great. And I really admire her most. She's not really a tap; she's more like a spring. So only good vibes come out of her. And she lives on the other side of Edinburgh. It takes her 45 minutes to get across town. She jumps on the bus and she evangelises about the tool library and all the things that it can bring people. And she really got into doing maintenance on her own flat. She downsized, had to give away all the tools, and now comes to us. But she told me that maintaining her flat meant that she felt that she was still worthy at her age, which I thought was really quite telling. She also said she felt really smug and quite chuffed when all her pals come around and ask for the phone number of the decorator that she's obviously got to do her place up. She's an example of a happy customer, but there's loads of them. The tool library is flourishing. People are coming around to the idea that ownership is something that should mean the ability to repair and maintain it yourself. Self-reliance is becoming trendy. That's just a wee stat. So we crunched our numbers recently. In the last 6 months, a tool goes out from the tool library every 5 minutes that we're open. In 6 months, we've saved our members £125,000 compared to what they would pay if they'd gone and bought all that stuff. And finally, I just wanted to mention this guy. So this is our maintainer extraordinaire. This is Ben. This is Wednesday night, half an hour after he was supposed to be at home. Basically, he is the sort of manifestation of what maintenance can bring. So, like I said, he was supposed to be at home. He had to, in inverted commas, finish this repair and drill. And when he did it, he was, physically showing the signs of excitement. He was doing this with his hands. He was jumping up and down and just cheesing, as they say in Edinburgh, this big massive grin on his face. And he sort of compared that fixing of a problem to some sort of detective mystery and solving the answer. And he bounded out the tool library with tools and his soul maintained. Thank you very much to the Festival of Maintenance for having me along today. Thanks for listening. And if you want to talk about tool libraries or anything, I'll be kicking around and definitely go to the pub. Thanks.